Hey there, tonight, we're going to try something a little different. We're going to sit with the quiet. In a moment, you'll see the air in your room begin to shimmer, just at the edge of your vision, as if it's thickening into a visible substance like gelatin or slow-moving water. You'll watch as the shadows stop being absences of light and instead become deep, soft pools of something tangible, something you could almost reach into. And in those pools, you'll find the answer to a question you didn't know you were asking. You probably won't remember any of this, and honestly, that's kind of the point. The details are meant to dissolve like sugar in tea, leaving just a faint sweetness in your waking mind. So, before you fully zone out, go ahead and like this video and subscribe, but only if you actually vibe with what I do here. Feel free to leave a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is, just to anchor this little drift of ours to a real place in the world. It's nice to think of all these separate silences connecting. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's wander through tonight's thought together. If silence had a color, what would it be tonight? You start right here, in this room, in this exact moment. You let your eyes fall half-closed, blurring the edges of the world. The question isn't about some grand universal silence. Not yet. It's about the specific personal provincial quiet that surrounds you. It's a custom blend, tailored to the shape of your furniture and the weight of your day. You begin with the most obvious shade. Look into the corners of the room where the walls meet and the light doesn't quite reach. The silence there isn't black. Black is too simple, too absolute. No, this is a deep, velvety midnight blue. It's the color of a well-worn pair of jeans, comfortable and familiar. This is the baseline silence, the foundational quiet of a house settling for the night. It has a texture, too. You can feel it on your skin, a cool, smooth pressure like sinking your hand into a bag of uncooked rice. It's a heavy silence, a grounding one. It's the silence of gravity itself. The quiet pull that keeps your bed on the floor and your feet on the ground. You can almost smell it, a faint scent of dust and old wood and the cool mineral tang of plaster. This midnight blue silence hums with a low, inaudible frequency, the resonant note of the building's foundation. It's the color of things that are still, things that have been still for a very long time, but it's not a uniform blue. As your mind drifts, you begin to see other threads woven into it. Trace the line of the ceiling. The silence up there is different. It's a lighter shade, more of a charcoal gray, almost the color of a storm cloud just before it breaks. This silence is less dense. It floats. It's the silence of potential, of things waiting to happen. It holds the memory of every conversation that has ever risen to fill this room. The echoes of laughter and hushed arguments, all layered on top of each other until they faded into this single, smoky tone. You can imagine reaching up and stirring it with your hand, watching the gray swirl like cream in coffee. This silence is where thoughts go when you forget them. They don't disappear, they just drift upward and join this soft, nebulous cloud. Sometimes a thought, a forgotten name, a lost idea, will detach from the mass and float back down to you. But mostly, they just hang there, a gentle, insulating layer of quiet between you and the roof. This charcoal silence has a different feel too. It's not cool and smooth like the blue in the corners. It's fuzzy, like felt or static on a television screen. It tingles slightly, the ghost of 1,000 unspent energies. Now, bring your focus closer. Look at the surfaces in your room. The silence resting on your bedside table is different again. It's a thin, almost transparent layer, like a sheet of frosted glass. Let's call it a pale winter sky white. It's a clean silence, a temporary one. It covers the surface of your lamp, the cover of the book you were reading, the smooth face of your phone. This silence is easily disturbed. The slightest touch would leave a fingerprint in it, a smudge of sound. It's the color of a held breath. It's the quiet that exists in the pause between sentences, in the moment before a decision is made. It tastes like cool water. If you were to lean in close, you could see the fine, crystalline structure of it. It's a fragile quiet, precious and easily shattered. It holds no memories, only the immediate present. It is the silence of now. You notice how these colors bleed into one another. The charcoal gray of the ceiling softens as it meets the midnight blue of the walls, creating a hazy, bruised purple where they touch. The pale white on the horizontal surfaces seems to glow faintly against the deeper shades around it. The room is not just quiet, it's a living painting of quiet, a masterpiece of subtle gradations. Let's go deeper. What about the silence inside things? Your mind's eye, a curious and gentle probe, drifts toward the closet. You don't have to open the door. You can sense the silence within. It's a completely different hue. It's a thick, muffled, woolly brown, the color of old coats and forgotten shoes. It smells of cedar and mothballs and thyme. This is a compressed silence, a packed-down quiet made of all the days your clothes have absorbed. The silence of a Monday morning meeting is still clinging to that shirt. The quiet contentment of a lazy Sunday afternoon is still woven into the fabric of your favorite sweater. It's a heavy, insulating silence, and it's not entirely still. There's a slow, rhythmic pulse to it, the ghost of your own heartbeat from all the times you've worn these things. It's a warm silence, a comforting one. It's the color of hibernation. It's a deep, earthy, organic quiet. It's the silence of things that are waiting patiently, without expectation, just being. From the closet, you drift over to your bookshelf, or, if you don't have one, just picture a book, a single, closed book. What color is the silence trapped between its pages? You focus on one in particular. Its silence is the color of old parchment, a creamy, buttery yellow. It's a very specific, very dense quiet. It's the silence of unspoken words, of stories held in suspension. Each letter on the page is a tiny black anchor holding down a piece of the story, keeping it from dissolving into the general quiet of the room. This silence is textured like paper, dry and slightly rough. It smells of ink and binding glue. It is a supremely patient silence. It has waited years, maybe decades, to be opened. It will wait for years more. It doesn't mind. This parchment yellow silence is the quiet of potential narrative, of worlds waiting to be born in the landscape of your mind. You realize that every closed book in the world contains its own unique shade of this yellow quiet, a library of silent, colored worlds. A bizarre thought surfaces. What if, when you open a book, you're not reading words but releasing colors, and your mind is just very good at translating those colors back into a story? Your attention shifts to the window. The silence pressed against the glass from the inside is different from the silence on the other side. The inside silence is part of your room's palette, that pale winter sky white. It's thin, clear, domestic. But through the glass you can perceive another silence. It's the quiet of the outside world, and it has its own color. Tonight, perhaps it's an inky, star-dusted violet. This violet silence is vast and cold. It carries the faint metallic hum of streetlights and the distant whisper of wind. Your room's silence is a bubble, a small, warm pocket of personalized quiet floating in this larger, colder, more impersonal violet. The glass of the window is the boundary, the membrane where these two colors meet but do not mix. The pale white pushes out, and the deep violet pushes in. They press against each other in a constant, gentle, soundless negotiation. You can see the tension in it, a subtle shimmer right at the surface of the pane. It's the quiet of the threshold, the silence of the border between your world and the world outside. Where else can you look? Under the bed. You don't look with your eyes, you look with your mind. The silence under the bed is not the same as the midnight blue in the corners. It's different. It's a dusty, mousy gray-brown, the color of forgotten things. It's the silence of lost socks and dust bunnies and the odd pen that rolled away. This silence is fuzzy, tangled, and a little bit sad. It's the color of things that have lost their purpose. It's a quiet filled with tiny, insignificant histories. The silence here is passive, resigned. It has a slightly musty smell, the scent of lint and thyme. Here's a whimsical thought for you. Those dust bunnies aren't just lint. They are the sleeping pets of the silence, small, gray, fluffy creatures made of accumulated quiet, and they dream of all the things they used to be a part of. One is made from the fibers of a favorite childhood blanket, another from the hair of a beloved pet, another from the carpet of a home you no longer live in. They are tiny, silent archivists. Now, consider a glass of water on your nightstand. It's a column of liquid clarity, and it contains its own silence. This is a very special color. It's a shimmering, liquid silver, shot through with tiny refracting rainbows of quiet. It is the silence of stillness, but a stillness that is alive with potential energy. It holds the memory of its journey through pipes, the roar of the treatment plant, the rush of the tap, all now calmed into this perfect, contained quiet. This silver silence is cool to the touch, and it magnifies everything. The light from your lamp bends through it, and so does the quiet. The silence on the other side of the glass looks different when viewed through the water. It's warped, distorted, more intense. It's a lens for quiet, and it has a taste, the clean, mineral non-taste of pure water. But what's most interesting about this silence is its fragility. It holds within it the sound it would make if it were to fall and shatter. That future sound, a sharp, explosive crash, tints the silver silence with a faint, nervous edge. It's the color of a pin balanced on its point. You are beginning to build a complex emotional and sensory map of your room, painted not with light, but with its absence. You found the foundational midnight blue, the thinking cloud charcoal, the present moment white, the hibernating wool brown, the story-filled parchment yellow, the threshold violet, the forgotten gray-brown, and the precarious liquid silver. Your room isn't silent. It's a symphony of quiets, a chorus of colors. This leads to a soft philosophical prompt. If every object, every space, holds its own unique silence with its own unique color, does an object cease to exist if its silence is erased? If you were to play a sound so perfectly matched to the resonant frequency of the silence in a teacup that it canceled it out completely, would the teacup vanish, or would it just become something else, a hole in the world, defined only by the colors of the silences surrounding it? Your mind begins to play with this. You look at the lamp. Its silence is complex. When it's off, like it might be now, the silence within the bulb is a perfect, brittle vacuum black, a tiny, captured piece of outer space. But the silence coating the outside of the lampshade is different. It's a warm, soft, peaches and cream color, tinted by the memory of the light it so often sheds. It's a quiet that remembers being bright. It's the silence of illumination in waiting. These two silences, the vacuum black inside and the peachy cream outside, are separated by a thin wall of glass and fabric. One is a pure, dense nothingness. The other is a gentle, hopeful glow. They are a universe apart, separated by less than an inch. Let's get more granular. Think about the air itself. Not the ceiling air or the corner air, but the air right in front of your face. You breathe it in, you breathe it out. This silence is the most intimate of all. It's the color of your own life force, your own spirit. What color is that tonight? Perhaps it's a pale, hazy green, like new leaves in spring. It's the silence of metabolism, of the slow, steady, unconscious work of your body. It's the quiet of your cells dividing, your heart beating, your lungs exchanging gas. This silence is warm and humid, and it smells faintly of you. It's in constant motion, swirling with your breath. A gentle vortex of life-colored quiet. This is the color you carry with you, the tint you apply to every room you enter. When you leave a room, a faint residue of this pale green silence lingers for a while, a ghost of your presence, before it dissolves into the room's own palette. And what about the silence inside your own head? We're not talking about your thoughts yet, just the physical space. The silence inside your ears, in the tiny convoluted passages of the cochlea. That is a deep, fleshy seashell pink. It's a wet silence, the quiet of the body's inner ocean. It's filled with the low thrum of your own blood pressure, a sound so constant you've learned to ignore it completely, to register it as silence. This seashell pink quiet is the screen upon which you perceive all other sounds. It is never ever truly gone. It's the canvas. Every other sound is just paint. You start to see the connections, the way the colors flow. The pale green of your breath momentarily tints the winter sky white of the surfaces you breathe on. It swirls and mixes with the charcoal gray of the air above you. The seashell pink inside your ears acts as a filter, subtly warming all the other colored silences you perceive. Your room is an ecosystem of quiet, and you are its central, breathing, life-giving element. Let's find a truly bizarre image. You focus on the shadows in the room again, but this time you see them differently. They aren't just pools of midnight blue. You watch as one of the shadows, the one cast by a chair, begins to detach from the floor. It peels itself up, thin as a piece of silk, and begins to float. It retains the shape of the chair's shadow, a distorted, four-legged silhouette, and it drifts lazily through the air of the room. It has no weight. It makes no sound. It's a creature made of pure, distilled quiet. It swims through the charcoal gray silence near the ceiling. Its edges sharp against the fuzziness. Another shadow, the one behind a stack of books, wriggles free and slithers across the floor like a flat, black snake. They are the room's nocturnal animals, living pieces of colored silence, and they only come out when the world is still enough for them to move without being noticed. They are shy, gentle beings, and they are simply exploring their habitat, which is the silence itself. You watch them for a while, these graceful, impossible creatures, until they settle back into their places, reattaching themselves to their objects, becoming simple shadows once more. The exploration is becoming more and more detailed. You think about the silence of technology, the quiet of your phone, when it's off or on silent mode. It's not a simple silence, it's a dense, complex, layered quiet. The surface quiet is that winter sky white, but beneath it, inside the circuitry, is a different color. It's a sharp, electric ozone blue. It's the color of dormant electricity, of a billion tiny switches frozen in place. It's a tense, humming silence, vibrating with potential information. It's the quiet of a million conversations waiting to happen, a million notifications waiting to buzz. It's a loud silence, a busy silence. It's completely different from the organic, patient silence of the book. The book's parchment yellow is calm. The phone's ozone blue is coiled, like a spring. To place them side by side on your nightstand is to create a fascinating, discordant clash of quiet colors. A battle of silences, one ancient and slow, the other modern and frenetic. And the silence of the pillow under your head? You press your ear into it. You hear the muffled sound of the world outside, but you also sense the color of the pillow's own quiet. It's a soft, downy cloud white, not the crystalline, fragile white on the tabletop, but a deeper, more absorbent white. It's the color of dreams. This silence is designed to soak up your thoughts, to catch the fragments of your nightly journeys and hold them until morning. When you wake up, the pillow releases them, which is why dreams fade so quickly. They are evaporating out of the pillow's white silence. It smells of sleep itself, a mixture of your own scent, the clean smell of laundry detergent, and something else, something intangible, the faint, sweet scent of forgotten adventures. You can feel its texture through the pillowcase, soft, yielding, and deeply comforting. It is the color of surrender. The more you look, the more colors you find. The silence of the metal legs of your bed frame has a cool, metallic, gunmetal gray sheen. It's a rigid, structural silence, the quiet of support and strength. The silence in the weave of the carpet is 1,000 different colors, a pointillist painting of quiet made from every footstep that has ever crossed it. You can see flecks of happy, bright yellow silence from a sunny afternoon, mixed with the dull, tired gray of a long day's end. The silence inside the radiator or the air vent is a hollow, echoing, coppery orange, a silence that remembers the rush of hot or cold air. It's a lonely, waiting silence. You realize that you are not just in a room, you are inside a geode, a hollow stone lined with countless crystals of colored quiet, and each crystal has its own history, its own texture, its own temperature, its own faint, phantom scent. This leads to an open-ended question. one with no real answer. When you fall asleep and your consciousness leaves the room for the landscapes of your dreams, do all these colors of silence change? Does the room, empty of your awareness, revert to a single, flat, default shade of quiet? Or does it, in your absence, become even more vibrant? The silent shadows dancing more freely, the colors growing brighter and mixing in new and startling combinations, putting on a show for an audience of one, which is the room itself. What does a room's silence look like when no one is there to see it? You ponder this as your awareness continues to drift. You think of the clothes you wore today, perhaps thrown over a chair. They are still radiating the silences of the places you've been. The shirt might have a stripe of pale, fluorescent light green from the office, and the jeans might have a patch of rumbling traffic and asphalt gray from your commute. Your clothes are canvases, and your day has painted them with the colors of its various silences. Right now, they are slowly releasing these colors into the air, contributing their unique notes to the overall chord of the room's quiet. You can see these colors faintly wafting off the fabric, like heat rising from pavement. A pale green mist, a swirl of gray smoke, a hint of coffee shop chatter brown. Let's examine the silence of a mirror. This is a tricky one. A mirror has no color of its own, it only reflects. So, the silence of a mirror is a perfect, shimmering, chameleon-like hue. It is the color of whatever silence is directly in front of it. It is a silent mimic, but it's not a perfect copy. The reflection is always colder, flatter. The mirror's silence is a perfect imitation of the room's silence, but with all the warmth and life leached out of it. It's a two-dimensional quiet. If you look at the reflection of the warm, peachy cream silence of the lampshade, the mirror shows you a color that is technically the same, but it feels distant, sterile. The mirror's silence is the color of observation without participation. It is the quiet of being a perfect, passive witness. A bizarre thought. What if the world inside the mirror has its own silences, and the beings on the other side are right now contemplating the color of the quiet in their rooms, which are cold, flat copies of our own? You've been mapping the room for a while now, and the palette is becoming incredibly rich. The deep blue of the foundational quiet, the charcoal of the ceiling, the winter white of surfaces, the woolly brown of the closet, the parchment yellow of books, the violet of the threshold, the dusty gray of forgotten spaces, the silver of water, the vacuum black and peachy cream of the lamp, the life green of your breath, the seashell pink of your ears, the ozone blue of technology, the cloud white of the pillow, the gunmetal gray of metal, the coppery orange of vents, and the chameleon sheen of the mirror. It is a full spectrum, a complete world, and at the center of it all is you. You are not just an observer, you are a participant. Your own quiet, the pale green of your breath, and the pink of your hearing is the key that unlocks all these other colors. It is the lens through which you are perceiving them. Perhaps another person sitting in this exact same room would see a different spectrum. Perhaps their life breath is a different color, a soft blue or a warm yellow, and it would cause them to interpret the room's silence in a completely different way. The midnight blue corners might seem more purple to them. The charcoal ceiling might seem more green. Silence, then, is not an objective reality. Its color is a collaboration between the space and the consciousness within it. It is a co-creation. You let your mind settle on this thought. The room is not just a container for your body, it is a partner in the act of perception. You and the room are painting this picture of silence together tonight. The soft hum of the fan you might have turned on is not a sound that breaks the silence, it is merely another color. It is a steady, hazy, shimmering silver gray, a transparent veil that hangs over all the other colors, making them softer, dreamier, less distinct. It's the color of white noise, the shade of static consciousness, a color that helps the other colors blend and bleed into a unified whole. It is the great harmonizer. Let's focus on one last detail before we let our awareness drift further afield. A plant, if you have one, or just imagine one. A simple potted plant in the corner. It too has a silence, It is a deep chlorophyll green, darker and more vibrant than the pale green of your breath. This is the silence of slow, deliberate, silent growth. It is the quiet of photosynthesis, of the patient, relentless turning of light into life. This silence feels cool and damp, and it smells of wet earth and green leaves. It is one of the most ancient silences in the room, a quiet that connects back to the first plants on earth. It is a profoundly peaceful, stable, and generative silence. It is constantly, silently, working to clean the air, to transform the old and stale into the new and fresh, and in doing so, it subtly alters the colors of the silences around it. It makes the midnight blue in its corner a little deeper, a little more alive. It makes the charcoal gray of the air a little cleaner, a little less fuzzy. This small, green life form is a silent powerhouse, a quiet engine of transformation, contributing its own deep, vital color to the room's ever-shifting masterpiece. You have now created a complete portrait of the silence of this one single room. It is a universe of its own, full of texture and temperature and history. It is a landscape you can explore without ever moving. You have seen how the colors layer and mix, how they are filtered through your own perception, and how even the smallest objects contribute their own unique hue to the whole. The silence is not an absence, it is a presence, a rich, complex, colorful, and deeply personal presence. It is the hidden architecture of your personal space. And tonight, for the first time, you have learned to see it. You have given it a name, a color, a story, and you are at the very center of it, a quiet, breathing prism, turning the simple fact of stillness into a radiant spectrum. The question was, what color is the silence tonight? And the answer you now see is not one color, but all of them, all at once, a living, breathing, ever-changing work of art that exists only for you, only right now. Your awareness, now fluent in the language of the room's quiet colors, drifts towards the window. It doesn't stop at the glass. It pushes gently against that boundary, that shimmering membrane where your personal winter sky white silence meets the vast, star-dusted violet of the night. You feel a soft, yielding pop, a soundless transition, and suddenly you are outside. You are no longer in the room. You are in the world. The bubble of your personal quiet has merged with the great, collective quiet of the sleeping globe, and the scale of your perception expands 1,000-fold. You are floating, a disembodied point of view, ready to explore the silences of a world at rest. You start with the city. If you live in one, this is the view from your window, magnified and clarified. If you don't, your mind builds one for you, a composite of every city you've ever seen in movies or dreams. At first, the silence seems to be a uniform color, that deep, impersonal violet you glimpsed through the glass. But as your focus sharpens, you see it's far more complex than that. The city's silence is a deep, bruised, electric purple-gray, a color woven from asphalt, concrete, starlight, and the residual hum of a billion sleeping electrical grids. It's the color of a thundercloud that has decided not to burst, holding all its energy in a tense, shimmering suspension. It tastes faintly of ozone and distant rain. You drift down to street level. The silence here is different. It flows like a slow, wide river between the canyons of the buildings. It is the color of polished obsidian, a deep, reflective black-gray, so smooth you feel you could skate on its surface. It carries with it the day's debris. Not trash, but the echoes of sound. A tiny, fading crimson fleck, all that's left of a distant siren. A swirl of muddy brown, the ghost of a truck's rumbling passage. A scattering of bright, confetti-like colors, the last remnants of conversations and laughter from the evening's crowds. These are all suspended in the obsidian flow, faint and beautiful, like sediment in an ancient riverbed. Look at the streetlights. Your mind offers a strange and wonderful new way of seeing them. They are not casting cones of light. They are dripping a different kind of silence onto the pavement. It's a thick, warm, honey amber silence pooling on the sidewalks directly beneath them. These amber pools are warm to your imagined touch, a comforting heat in the cool, flowing obsidian of the street. They are safe havens of quiet. You see a stray cat, a real one this time, emerge from an alley. It doesn't walk through the cold obsidian silence, it flits from one amber pool to the next, a silent shadow hopping between islands of warm, golden quiet. The streetlights are lighthouses of silence, guiding the nocturnal wanderers. And then you notice the traffic lights at a deserted intersection. They continue their endless, faithful cycle, but tonight they are not directing cars. They are conducting a symphony of colored silence. You watch as the light turns red. A deep, plush, velvet red silence descends upon the crossroads. It's a heavy, patient silence, the color of a held breath on a vast scale. It feels thick, almost viscous. Then the light changes. The amber light doesn't just precede the green. It unleashes a different silence altogether, a fragile, crystalline, amber quiet that shatters the velvet red. For just a moment, the intersection is filled with the silence of 1,000 tiny, tinkling bells, a bright, nervous, anticipatory quiet. Then it turns green. A hollow, permissive, malachite green silence floods the space. It's an empty silence, a silence of pure potential, of open roads and clear paths. It hums with a low, inviting frequency. Red, amber, green, a cycle of waiting, transition, and release, played out in shades of pure quiet for an audience of no one. It is a perfect, pointless, beautiful ritual. You lift your gaze and drift upwards, past the first few floors of the surrounding buildings. You look into the windows of dark offices. The silence in these spaces is a flat, sterile, institutional gray. It is the color of dormant spreadsheets and powered-down computers. It is a tidy, filed-away silence segmented by cubicle walls. But it's not dead. It's threaded with the thinnest, most delicate veins of that electric ozone blue you found in your phone. The memory of the network, the ghost in the machine, keeps this silence from being completely inert. It's a quiet that dreams of data. Higher still, you rise to the rooftops. The silence up here is different again. It's a windswept, gritty, tar-black silence. It's exposed to the elements. It's scoured by the wind, baked by the sun, washed by the rain. It's a tough, weathered silence. It's coated with a fine layer of soot-gray quiet from the city's exhaust. But it's also closer to the sky, and so this tar-black is dusted with the finest shimmer of cosmic violet from the silence of the space above. It's a strange and beautiful combination. The grime of the city meeting the pristine quiet of the upper atmosphere. You can see the blinking red lights on top of the tallest buildings. Each blink is not a pulse of light, but a pulse of silence. A deep, warning red silence that pushes back against the vast violet. A tiny, rhythmic heartbeat in the city's metal skin. Let's find a truly vast and empty space, a sprawling, multi-level parking garage, perhaps. You drift into its concrete belly. The silence here is immense. It is a heavy, oppressive, concrete gray, tinged with the faint, oily rainbow sheen of 1,000 phantom oil slicks. It smells of cold concrete and old exhaust fumes. The silence is amplified by the architecture. Every tiny potential sound is swallowed by the sheer mass of the structure. The silence is so thick it feels like you're underwater. The painted lines on the floor, the white and yellow parking space dividers, have their own silence. A thin, brittle, painted-on quiet that barely holds its own against the overwhelming gray. And then you see it. In the middle of the third level, under the dim cage safety light, is a single forgotten object. A child's small, red rubber ball, and it is radiating a silence so loud, so vibrant it's almost deafening. It is a perfect sphere of screamingly, defiantly, joyfully red silence, the color of a child's laugh, of a bouncing game, of pure, uncomplicated fun. It is a tiny, powerful sun of happy silence in a vast, gray universe of quiet emptiness. Its simple, joyful, red quiet pushes back against the oppressive concrete gray, creating a visible aura around it. A small bubble of warmth and life. It is the most alive thing in the entire structure, and it is an object of pure silence. This brings you to a philosophical question. A soft hum in the back of your mind as you float above the sleeping metropolis. Is this city's silence merely the sum of its parts? the aggregated quiet of millions of individual rooms like your own, each with its unique palette? Or, as the night deepens and the sleepers dream, do all these individual silences merge and dissolve into a single, collective consciousness? Does the city itself dream? You imagine a vast blanket of colored quiet settling over the urban grid, woven from the pale green of a million sleeping breaths, the cloud white of a million dreaming pillows, the deep blues and woolly browns of a million silent homes. A single, unified, breathing entity made of shared stillness. Is the city's silence a conversation? A silent communion of all the souls it holds? You don't know the answer, but the thought itself is a comforting one, turning the lonely violet of the night into something shared, something communal. You feel a pull, a desire for a different kind of quiet. You let your awareness drift away from the city. You fly over the suburbs, watching the grids of streetlights and amber pools of silence grow farther apart. The electric purple-gray thinning out, replaced by the darker, softer shades of the countryside. You are seeking a silence that is not man-made. You are seeking the silence of the truly wild. You arrive at a forest. A deep, old-growth forest, the kind that feels ancient and wise. The moment you cross its threshold, the quality of the silence changes completely. It's like stepping from a noisy room into a soundproofed one. The residual hum of the human world vanishes, absorbed by the sheer, living mass of the trees. The silence here is a color you have felt before in the small houseplant in your room, but this is its origin, its purest and most potent form. It is a deep, profound, mossy chlorophyll green, so dark it is almost black. This is the silence of life itself, of slow, inexorable growth. You drift between the great trunks of the trees. Each one has its own specific shade, its own silent voice. An ancient, gnarled oak emanates a deep, knowing, forest green silence, the color of centuries of patient observation. It feels wise and steady. A cluster of silver birches shimmers with a pale, papery, silvery green silence, a light, rustling quiet that feels youthful and alert. The tall, straight pines stand in silent cathedrals, and their collective quiet is a deep, resinous needle green, smelling of cool air and sharp sap. Here's a whimsical thought. What if the trees are not silent at all? What if they are in constant communication, not through sound, but by exchanging their specific shades of green silence? You imagine the colors flowing down their trunks into the vast, hidden network of their roots, a slow, deep, silent conversation passing under your feet. The wise, dark green of the oak reassures the trembling, silvery green of the birches. The proud, needle green of the pines shares news of the wind from the canopy. The entire forest is a single, slow-thinking mind, and its language is the color of its own quiet. You lower your awareness to the forest floor. The silence here is another color entirely. It is a rich, damp, loamy umber, the color of decay that is also the color of life. This is the silence of fallen leaves, of rotting logs, of patient fungi. It is a soft, absorbent, spongy quiet. You can feel the history in it. You focus on a single patch of ground. You can see the layers of colored silence, a bright, brittle, autumnal orange silence from last year's fallen maple leaves, now faded and crumbling. A deep, woody, cedar-brown silence from a branch that fell in a winter storm a decade ago, now slowly turning back into soil. This umber silence is a patient archivist, slowly, quietly, transforming everything back into potential. It smells of wet earth, of mushrooms, of the cool, clean scent of decomposition, which is the smell of life's great cycle. Suddenly, the canopy above you parts, and a shaft of moonlight breaks through. It doesn't illuminate the ground in the traditional sense. Instead, it paints a patch of a different kind of silence onto the moss and leaves. It is a cool, liquid, quicksilver-colored silence. It is utterly magical, otherworldly. It doesn't mix with the deep green and umber silences of the forest. It lies on top of them like a spill of mercury. It feels cold to your imagined touch, and it hums with a faint celestial energy. It is the silence of the moon, of distant, cold rock and reflected starlight visiting this deep, earthy, living quiet. You watch as a small field mouse, a creature of the forest floor, scurries across the patch of moonlight. For a moment, its own tiny, frightened, brownish-gray silence is transformed, plated in silver, before it vanishes back into the shadows. A sound, or rather, the ghost of a sound, catches your attention. An owl glides between the trees on silent wings. It does not break the green silence, it parts it. As it passes, it leaves a momentary wake, a ripple in the color of the quiet. The ripple is a soft, feathery gray-white, the color of its own focused, predatory silence. You watch the ripple expand and then fade, the deep green flowing back in to fill the space, leaving no trace. The forest's silence is a fluid, a living medium, and its inhabitants move through it like fish through water, each trailing their own unique temporary streak of colored quiet. The silence of the forest is ancient, patient, and cyclical. The silence of the city is modern, anxious, and linear. One is the color of soil, the other the color of steel. But you feel a pull towards a silence that is even older, even deeper, a silence that makes the forest seem as loud and busy as the city. You let your consciousness rise up out of the trees, over the mountains, over the dark, sleeping land, and you head out over the water. You arrive at the ocean. The silence of the open sea at night is a vast, horizontal thing. The surface is a restless, shifting quiet, a deep navy blue flecked with the white-crested silence of the waves. It's the color of wind and salt and endless motion. It is not a peaceful silence. It is a powerful one, full of deep, latent energy. It is the skin of a great, sleeping beast. And now you descend. You sink beneath the waves. The surface quiet, the navy and white, fades above you. The first few hundred feet are a hazy, sun-dappled turquoise silence. It's the memory of the daylight world. You can still feel the warmth of the sun in this quiet, see the faint, dancing patterns of the waves on the surface. But as you go deeper, the silence gives way to another. You are now in the twilight zone. 1,000 feet down. The light is gone. There is only a profound, deep sapphire blue. This is not the silence of water, but the silence of pressure. You can feel it beginning to build, a gentle, firm, constant squeeze from all directions. The sapphire blue silence is full of tiny falling motes of a different quiet. The soft, gray-white silence of marine snow, the organic debris from the world above, drifting slowly down into the abyss. Each mote is a silent story, a life ended, now becoming food for the deep. The silence here is melancholy, a vast, blue, liquid cathedral of endings. Deeper still, you are sinking through a mile of water. The sapphire blue has deepened into a pure, midnight indigo. The pressure is immense now. It's a physical presence. The silence is no longer just an absence of sound. It is an active, crushing force. The temperature is near freezing. The only color here is the indigo of the water's own profound, ancient quiet. But it is not the end. You continue your descent. 2 miles. 3. You are in the abyssal plain, and here the color of the silence is something for which there is no name. It is not black. Black is a color you know. This is something else. Let's call it pressure black, or abyssal indigo. It is a color born of absolute darkness and unimaginable weight. It is a color you feel in your bones, a solid, final, ultimate quiet. The water is so dense with pressure that the silence itself feels like a solid medium. This brings a bizarre and wonderful image to your mind. The immense pressure has not just created a color, it has compressed the silence into a crystalline form. The floor of the abyss is not mud or sand, it is paved with a vast, smooth, impossibly dense crystal of pure, solidified quiet. It absorbs everything, forever. No echo is possible here. And the strange alien creatures of the abyss, the ones with their own lights, they don't use their bioluminescence to see each other in the way we understand. They use it to navigate the architecture of the solid silence. A fish flashes its lights, and the pulse of colored light doesn't travel. It sends a sympathetic vibration, a colored thud, through the crystal of silence. Another creature miles away doesn't see the light. It feels the colored vibration in its body. They communicate not with light or sound, but by playing this vast, silent, crystalline instrument. A flash of pale blue light creates a cold, sharp, chime-like silence note. A slow pulse of deep red light creates a warm, soft bass note of quiet. It is a silent music of colored light and solid stillness. You float in this abyssal indigo, this pressure black. You are weightless in the heaviest silence imaginable. It is a silence so profound it seems to contain the age of the planet itself. It is the quiet of geology, of eons passing without witness. It is the opposite of the frantic, ozone-blue silence of your phone. It is the opposite of the chattering, confetti-colored silence of a city street. It is the final, foundational silence of the world. And this leads you to one last open-ended question for this part of our journey. You have explored the silences of your room, the city, the forest, and the sea. But what color is the silence of a place that has never ever known an empty space for a vibration to exist? What is the color of silence at the very core of the earth, a place of solid, churning, molten iron and nickel, under pressure that makes the abyss seem light and airy? Is it a roaring, incandescent, white-hot silence? A furious, burning, golden-orange quiet that contains the sound of creation itself, but compressed into a color so intense it would vaporize you? Or is the silence at the center of the world a color that no living thing, no consciousness could ever perceive? Is it the color of pure existence before it has been shaped into light or sound or matter? You have drifted from the familiar quiet of your own home to the most alien quiet on the planet. You have seen silence as a river of obsidian, as a pool of amber, as a symphony of velvet and malachite. You have felt it as a deep green conversation between trees and as a rich umber carpet of decay and rebirth. And now you have found it in its most extreme form, a solid, crystalline, pressure black in the deepest ocean. You have expanded your palette beyond all measure. You are floating in the great, dark, silent womb of the world, a place of immense power and perfect stillness. And from here, from this place of ultimate external quiet, the only direction left to travel is inward. From the absolute, crushing, pressure-black silence of the abyss, you do not ascend. There is no upward pull, no journey back to the surface. Instead, you perform a different kind of travel. You turn your awareness inside out. You have journeyed to the most extreme external quiet the world has to offer. And now, from that vantage point of ultimate stillness, you finally look inward. The immense pressure from the outside makes you acutely, beautifully aware of the space on the inside, the boundless interior world that is uniquely you. You slip from the abyssal indigo of the ocean's heart directly into the landscape of your own consciousness. The transition is seamless, a quiet fold in reality. You are no longer a point of view exploring a physical world. You are awareness itself, exploring the very architecture of your own mind. The first thing you notice is that the crushing pressure is gone. This inner space is weightless, limitless, and it has a foundational silence, a background color against which all else is painted. It is not the midnight blue of your room or the chlorophyll green of the forest. It is a luminous, shimmering, mother-of-pearl silence. It is the color of pure being, the quiet hum of your own existence. It is not a flat color. It shifts and swirls with opalescent light, reflecting every potential shade, every possible thought, without being defined by any of them. This is the silence of the canvas itself, the quiet of the container that holds the universe of you. It has no temperature, no texture, but it feels like potential. It is the silent, pearlescent stage upon which the dramas of memory and imagination will now unfold. Your first destination within this inner world is the vast and complex continent of your memory. You don't travel there. You simply decide to be there, and you are. You find yourself standing at the entrance to a great, sprawling museum, a structure built not of stone, but of solidified time. The silence here is the quiet of a grand empty hall, echoing with the ghosts of a billion past moments. The mother-of-pearl silence of your consciousness forms the high vaulted ceilings, But the floors, the walls, the very air is tinged with the specific hues of remembrance. You drift into the first wing. The air here grows warm and golden. The silence is the color of late afternoon sun slanting through a dusty window, the color of dandelion fluff caught in a breeze. It is a soft, honey-gold silence. This is the hall of happy memories. Each memory is not a film or a picture, but a self-contained diorama of colored quiet. You drift towards one. It's a memory of childhood, perhaps a birthday party or a perfect summer day. It is encased in a sphere of this warm, dandelion yellow silence. You don't watch it, you float into it. Inside, the silence is buzzing with the phantom energy of children's laughter, a sound now faded into a bright, fizzy, lemon sherbet-colored quiet. The memory of the cake is not a taste, but a sweet vanilla cream silence. The feeling of running through the grass is a vibrant, Kelly-green silence under your phantom feet. These are not memories you are reliving. You are experiencing the color of their silence, the emotional residue they left behind. A whimsical thought drifts by. Maybe memories aren't stored in the brain as data, but as crystallized colors, and nostalgia is simply the act of basking in their silent, golden light. You move from one golden sphere to another. A memory of a first crush radiates a shy, blushing, rose-gold silence. A memory of a profound moment of connection with a friend is a deep, warm, amber-colored quiet, solid and comforting. A memory of laughing so hard you couldn't breathe is a chaotic, sparkling, glitter bomb of multicolored silence, a silent explosion of pure joy. This wing of the museum is warm, safe, and beautiful. It is the part of your past that glows. You could stay here forever, drifting through these golden moments, but the museum of your mind has other wings, other colors. You feel a cool draft, and you follow it. You pass through a high archway, and the golden light fades, replaced by a cool, subdued, blue-gray luminescence. The air grows cooler, and the silence changes its texture. It becomes smooth, worn, and slightly cold, like a piece of sea glass held in your palm. This is the Hall of Sorrows. The silence here is a translucent, watery, blue-gray. It is the color of a tear drying on a window pane, the color of a misty morning over a still lake. It is a beautiful color in its own way. Sad, yes, but also calm, quiet, and possessed of a strange depth. The pain has been worn smooth by the relentless tide of time. The memories here are also in spheres, but they are not glowing. They are heavy, still, and cool to the touch. You drift towards one, a memory of loss, perhaps. You hesitate, but your curiosity is gentle and fearless tonight. You enter it. Inside, the silence is not loud or screaming. It is a profound, deep, quiet ache. It is the color of a rain-soaked gray wool blanket. It is a heavy silence, a silence that absorbs light and sound. It smells of wet pavement and cold air. There are other colors woven in. A thread of that honey gold from the happy memories, a reminder of what was lost, makes the gray seem even deeper. A thin, silver thread of a single shed tear catches the light. You realize that the silence of sadness is not an empty space. It is a dense, complex, layered thing. It holds not just the pain, but the love that gave the pain its meaning. Another surreal thought. Perhaps tears are not just salt water. They are liquid silence, the mind's way of externalizing and polishing a memory, turning a sharp, painful, jagged gray silence into a smooth, cool, sea glass blue one. You drift past other spheres of sorrow. A memory of a lonely time is a pale, washed-out, sky-blue silence, vast and empty. A memory of failure is a dull, leaden gray, a quiet that feels heavy and immobile. And yet, this hall is not a place of despair. It is a place of quiet contemplation. The sea glass blue silence that fills the hall is the color of survival, of having passed through the storm. It is the quiet of a healed wound, a scar that is now just a part of your landscape. It is the color of resilience. This contemplation leads you to a soft philosophical prompt, a question that forms in the quiet air around you. You have seen how memories have their own colors. If you could, would you change them? If you had a brush and a palette, and you could dip it into the dandelion yellow silence of a happy memory and paint over the rain-soaked gray of a sad one, what would happen? Would the memory itself change, transforming the event into a joyful one? Or would you just be creating a lie, a beautiful golden shell over a core of intractable gray? Does changing the color of a silence change its truth, or does it just change how you choose to see it? And which is more important, the truth of what happened or the truth of how you carry it with you now? Pondering this, you drift onward, deeper into the museum. You find a part of the structure that is less like a grand hall and more like a dusty, cluttered, old archive room in a forgotten library. The air is thick with the smell of old paper and dust. The silence here is a faded brownish gray, the color of sepia photographs. This is the archive of the almost forgotten. The shelves are crammed with billions of tiny, mundane memories, the ones that make up the bulk of your life but are rarely, if ever, revisited. The silence of what you had for breakfast 3 years ago on a Tuesday is a pale, oatmeal-colored beige. The quiet of tying your shoes this morning is a nondescript shoelace brown. They are all here, meticulously, if messily, filed away. And in the back of this archive you find it. This is the bizarre, surreal image you've been heading towards. You find a room labeled The Lost and Found. This is where truly forgotten things go, but they are not gone, they are simply waiting. The room is filled with endless shelves of dusty glass jars, and inside each jar is a single, forgotten piece of your life, transformed into a physical object of colored silence. You pick one up. Inside, a tiny, intricately carved bead of perfect, crystalline blue silence rolls around. The label, written in faint, spidery script, reads, "The color of the sky on the afternoon of May 12, 1998. You have no conscious memory of this day, but your mind saves the color. You open another jar. Inside is a small tangled knot of reddish-brown string. The label, the sound of your grandmother's voice saying your name. The memory of the sound is gone, but its silent, colored texture remains. Another jar holds a single dried dark green leaf, the feeling of relief after a difficult exam. You see a jar containing a smooth gray river stone, a dream you had in 2004, completely forgotten upon waking. This is not an archive of facts. It's an archive of essences, of silent, colored feelings. It is a profoundly strange and beautiful place, a testament to the fact that nothing is ever truly lost, merely misplaced and transformed. You leave the dusty archives, feeling a strange sense of completeness. Even the parts of you that you've forgotten are still you, but there's another wing of the museum you feel compelled to visit even if you don't want to. You feel a prickling sensation on your phantom skin, a kind of unpleasant buzz in the air. You have found the small, cramped, poorly lit wing dedicated to embarrassing memories. The silence here is a nauseating, sickly, fluorescent chartreuse green. It's a sour, acidic color, and it hums with an anxious, buzzing energy like a trapped fly. The memories here are not in spheres. They are sharp, jagged shards of this chartreuse silence, stuck in the walls like shrapnel. A memory of saying the wrong thing at a party, a memory of a clumsy, awkward moment. You don't need to get close to them. You can feel their sharp, cringe-worthy silence from across the room. It's the color of wanting the ground to swallow you whole. It's a deeply unpleasant quiet, but it's also, you realize, a powerful one. It's the silence of self-awareness, of the mistakes that teach you humility. It's the color of growth, even if it's a painful, wince-inducing growth. Quickly, you move on, seeking an antidote to that sour green. You find yourself in a hall that feels like the museum's treasury. The silence here is a deep, resonant, metallic bronze. It's warm, solid, and glowing with a steady, confident light. This is the Hall of Accomplishments, the silence of pride. Each memory here is not a sphere or a shard, but a solid, beautifully crafted medal hanging in the air. The memory of finally mastering a difficult skill is a heavy bronze medallion, its silence humming with the satisfaction of hard work. The memory of a time you were truly brave is a different shade, a coppery red silence glowing with the heat of courage. The memory of creating something beautiful, something you were proud of, is a polished, shining, brassy gold silence, reflecting your own inner light back at you. This silence is not loud or boastful. It is a quiet, solid, foundational confidence. It is the color of your own strength, your own capability. It is the quiet that says, "I did this." You have toured the great museum of your memory, from the dandelion yellow of joy to the sea glass blue of sorrow, from the sepia brown of the forgotten to the chartreuse of cringe and the bronze of pride. You have seen how your past is not a single story, but a vast and complex palette of colored silences. But your mind is not just a museum of what has been. It is also a workshop for what could be. You let the bronze hall fade and you find yourself floating in a different kind of space. The solid architecture of the museum dissolves. You are now in a vast, open, cloud-filled expanse. The silence here is entirely different. It is a soft, swirling, ethereal mist of pale lavender and shimmering rose gold. This is the workshop of imagination, the birthplace of daydreams. The silence here is light, airy, and full of magical potential. It is the color of what if. You watch as new ideas form in the mist. They begin as tiny, swirling motes of colored light. A new story idea might start as a spark of emerald green silence, the color of a fantasy forest. An idea for a new project might be a swirl of practical, steel blue quiet. A daydream about a future vacation might be a cloud of warm, turquoise water silence. These colors dance and swirl in the lavender and rose gold mist, bumping into each other, combining, separating. A whimsical thought. Daydreaming is a form of silent weather. The lavender mist is the atmosphere, and your ideas are the clouds, forming and dissipating, sometimes growing into great, beautiful thunderheads of inspiration that rain down into your conscious thought. You reach out and touch one of these nascent ideas, a small, pulsing orb of orange and pink silence, the color of a perfect sunset. It is a daydream of a perfect, peaceful evening. It feels warm and hopeful. Unlike the memories in the museum, which are fixed and solid, the daydreams here are fluid, malleable. You can change their color, add new shades, reshape them. This is a place of active creation. The silence here is not the quiet of the past, it is the quiet of the future. It is the silence of the blank page, the unpainted canvas, the unmolded clay. It is the most hopeful silence in your entire inner world. From the mists of imagination, you decide to go deeper, to explore the very mechanics of your own thought. You shift your focus from the content of your mind to its processes. You ask yourself, what is the color of the silence that underpins your own internal monologue? The space between the words you think, you find it immediately. It is a stark, clean, graphite gray silence. It is the color of structure, of grammar, of logic. It is the invisible grid upon which you build your sentences. It is not a warm or emotional silence, it is functional, precise, and incredibly fast. It is the color of the architecture of language itself. You can see your thoughts appearing as black letters against this graphite gray background, forming and dissolving with incredible speed. This silence is different from the parchment yellow silence you found in the book back in your room. The book's silence was patient, waiting to be read. This graphite gray silence is active, constantly building and demolishing thought structures. It is the silence of the machine of reason. But you know you are more than just a machine of reason. There are other ways you know things, other kinds of inner quiet. You search for the silence of intuition. You find it in a deep, quiet, hidden part of your mind. It is a profound, velvety, deep indigo silence. It is almost identical to the abyssal indigo you found in the deep ocean. But this silence has no pressure. It is calm, knowing, and mysterious. Intuition doesn't speak in the black on graphite gray of logical thought. It communicates through feelings, through shifts in the color of this indigo silence. A gut feeling that something is right is a sudden, warm glow appearing in the indigo. A sense of unease is a cold, dark spot spreading through it. A flash of insight is a bright, silver-white streak that appears and vanishes in an instant. A surreal idea. Your intuition is a deep, dark pool, and your gut feelings are strange, silent, bioluminescent creatures that swim up from its depths to bring you messages written in colored light. You can't read them logically. You can only feel their meaning. You have explored the silences of your past, your future, your logic, and your intuition. Now, there is only one place left to go, the deepest place of all, the source. You seek the silence of your own core consciousness, the part of you that exists beneath personality, beneath memory, beneath thought. You sink down, past the museum, past the workshop, past the pools of intuition. You sink into the very foundation of your own being, and here you find the most profound silence of all. It has no color, or rather, it is a color that is also the absence of color. It is a perfect, clear, transparent black, a lucid void. It is not empty, it is pregnant with all potential. It is the mother-of-pearl silence of your consciousness, but before it has begun to shimmer. It is the pressure black of the abyss, but without the pressure. It is a silence so total, so absolute, that it is not an absence of sound, but the potential from which all sound and all color and all thought arises. It is the silence of pure, undifferentiated awareness. It is a silent, black hole at the center of your personal galaxy, from which everything you are has emerged. To be here is to be nowhere and everywhere. It is to be nothing and everything. It is a terrifying and deeply peaceful state of being, and in this place of ultimate inner quiet, this lucid void at your own core, a final, open-ended question surfaces, vast and unanswerable. If this silence, this clear black, colorless potential at the heart of you, is the foundational substance of your consciousness, is it possible that this is the same substance that existed before the Big Bang? Is the silent, potential-filled void within you the very same stuff as the silent, potential-filled void that contained the entire universe before it burst into being? Are you, at your most fundamental level, made of the same silent, colorless everything, nothing that preceded creation itself? Are you looking at the face of God, or simply the deepest, most honest reflection of yourself? Or is there, in the end, no difference at all? You have journeyed from the colors of a single room to the colors of a sleeping planet, and now to the deepest, most intimate colors of your own soul. You have painted a map of your own interior, with its golden joys, its sea glass sorrows, its lavender daydreams, and its indigo truths. You have found the clear, black silence at your own center. You are an entire universe of quiet, a walking, breathing spectrum of silent color. And now, having reached the very bottom, the very core, you feel a gentle, upward pull. A desire to return, to bring all these colors back with you out of the deep, out of the mind, and into the grander cosmos that waits outside. From the clear, lucid, colorless black silence at the core of your own being, you begin to drift. There's no sudden launch, no violent expulsion. It is a slow, gentle unsinking, a feather floating upwards on an unseen thermal current. You rise back through the layers of your own mind, the deep indigo of your intuition, the graphite gray of your logic, the swirling lavender mists of your imagination, the great bronze and gold and blue-gray halls of your memory. You see them all now not as separate places to be explored, but as a single, shimmering, complex sphere of light and color that is the totality of your inner world. You do not leave it behind, you carry it with you. It becomes a warm, pearlescent orb of consciousness, and you are at its center as you continue your ascent. You pass back through the membrane of your physical self, that initial threshold you crossed to begin this inner journey. You are no longer just inside your mind, you are once again a point of awareness in a physical universe. But you are not back in the room. Not yet. The journey from the abyss of the ocean to the abyss of the self has given you a new momentum. You are being drawn outwards, upwards, past the sleeping world, past the deep greens of the forest and the electric purples of the city. You rise through the atmosphere, watching the planet shrink below you, a beautiful, swirling marble of blue, white, and green silences. You are heading out into the grandest scale of all, into the chromatic void of the cosmos. You breach the final thin layer of the Earth's atmosphere, and the silence changes instantly and profoundly. It is a silence so complete, so absolute, it makes the abyssal indigo of the deep ocean seem noisy by comparison. This is the silence of the vacuum, and it has a color. It is a perfect, flawless, crystalline black. Not the pressure black of the abyss, which felt heavy and crushing. Not the clear black of your inner core, which felt pregnant and full of potential. This is a cold, sharp, diamond-hard black. It is the color of pure, empty space. It is so black it seems to have sharp edges. It is a silence that does not absorb sound but shatters it. Any sound that tried to exist here would be instantly annihilated, turned into a spray of frozen, silent dust. You float in this diamond black, and for a moment it is all you can see. It is vast, terrifying, and achingly beautiful. It is the backdrop against which all of existence is painted, but it is not empty. As your perception adjusts to the scale, you begin to see the colors. First, the stars. They are not just white pinpricks of light. They are sources of colored silence. You drift towards a star that looks from Earth like a simple white dot. Up close, it is a raging, tempestuous ball of fire, but its sound does not travel in the vacuum. Instead, it radiates a silence of incredible intensity. It is a roaring, blinding, white-hot silence. It is the color of nuclear fusion, the color of creation itself. It pushes back against the diamond black of space, creating a visible aura, a corona of incandescent quiet. The silence is so powerful, it has a physical presence, a radiant pressure that you can feel on your phantom skin. It is the color of a shout in a soundproof room. You drift away from the star, back into the cool, diamond black. You realize that every star has its own unique shade of silent fire. Some burn with a cooler, orange-red silence, the quiet of an ancient, dying star, its energy fading into a deep, patient glow. Others burn with a fierce, brilliant, blue-white silence, the color of a young, hot, volatile star, full of furious, youthful energy. The galaxy is a glittering field of these silent, colored fires, each one singing its own unique, silent, chromatic song into the void. A whimsical thought, a cosmic one. What if constellations aren't just random patterns but silent chords? A group of stars whose colored silences happen to harmonize in a particularly beautiful way, creating a single, complex, multi-hued quiet that we, from our distant vantage point, interpret as a picture, a hunter, a bear, a dragon. We are not just seeing shapes, we are sensing the silent music of the spheres. And between the stars, the void is not empty. You begin to perceive the nebulae, great, swirling clouds of gas and dust, the birthplaces of new stars, and they have the most beautiful, subtle, and complex colored silences in the entire cosmos. You drift into a vast, famous nebula like Orion or the Eagle. The silence here is not the hard, diamond black of empty space. It is a soft, deep, velvety black, woven through with breathtaking colors. You see vast, billowing curtains of hydrogen gas, and their silence is a soft, ethereal rose pink. It's a gentle, generative silence, the quiet of atoms slowly gathering, drawn together by gravity. You see clouds of oxygen, and their silence is a ghostly, pale, seafoam green. You see filaments of sulfur, and they glow with a deep, majestic, royal blue silence. These are not loud, shouting silences like the stars. They are whispers. They are the quiet, slow, patient thoughts of the universe itself, contemplating the creation of new suns, new worlds. To float through a nebula is to float through a dream in the mind of God. It is to be inside a cosmic cathedral made of stained glass silence. You remember the callback, the floating teacup from the first section, and a bizarre image forms in your mind linking the mundane to the cosmic. You see floating in the middle of this glorious pink and green nebula, a single perfect porcelain teacup. It is spinning slowly, and it contains within its small white ceramic form the vacuum black silence of the lamp bulb from your room. It is a tiny, domestic piece of the void, holding a piece of the cosmic void within it, all floating within a larger, softer, more colorful void. The scale is impossible, the image absurd, but it feels right. It is a connection between the silence of your personal space and the silence of the cosmos, a bridge built of quiet. Your room, with its specific personal colored silences, is not separate from this. It is a tiny, intricate, fractal iteration of this grand cosmic pattern. The universe is not just out there, it is also in here. This connection leads to a philosophical prompt, one that echoes across the light years. You are floating in a silence so old it predates your species, your planet, your sun. You are witnessing colors of quiet that were formed by physical processes on a scale you can barely comprehend. And yet, you are perceiving them. You are giving them names. Rose pink, seafoam green. Names drawn from your tiny, brief terrestrial experience. Does the silence of a nebula have a color before a consciousness is there to perceive it? Or does the universe, in all its silent, colorful majesty, exist in a state of pure, uncategorized potential until a mind, any mind, a human mind, an alien mind, the mind of some strange nebular being, observes it and, in the act of observation, crystallizes its colors into being? Are you, the observer, a co-creator of this cosmic beauty? Or are you just a lucky tourist, stumbling into a gallery that has always been here and always will be, whether you look or not? Does the rose-pink silence of the nebula need you to be beautiful? You drift on, leaving the soft whispering silence of the nebula behind, and venture into the truly deep space, the vast, empty-seeming expanses between the galaxies. The silence here changes again. The diamond black is still the background, but it's different now. It is older. The silence between stars within a single galaxy is still young and full of potential. But the silence in the intergalactic void is ancient, stretched, and tired. It is the color of space itself expanding. It is a deep, dark plum black, tinged with a faint, ghostly, reddish hue. This is the color of the cosmological redshift, not as a scientific principle, but as an experiential silence. It is the color of things moving away from you forever. It is a lonely silence, a vast cosmic sigh. It is the color of goodbye, on a scale of millions of years. And in this stretched plum-black silence, you encounter one of the strangest and most unsettling colored quiets you can imagine. You become aware of dark matter. You can't see it, not directly. It emits no light, no radiation, but it has a presence, it has a gravity, and therefore it has a silence. It is a heavy, thick, cloying silence, the color of a shadow that has no source. Let's call it a greasy, transparent black, like a pane of glass coated in a thin film of oil. It is a silence that bends the other silences around it. You can see the diamond black of space and the distant, silent light of galaxies warping and distorting as they pass through these vast, invisible clouds of greasy black quiet. It is the silence of something that is fundamentally there, but fundamentally unknowable. It is the quiet of the universe's greatest secret. A substance that holds the galaxies together but refuses to show its face. To feel this silence is to feel the presence of a ghost that outweighs all the living matter in the universe. It is a deeply unnerving, profoundly mysterious color of quiet. Then you go looking for its opposite, a black hole. You feel its pull long before you see it. It is not a pull on your phantom body, it is a pull on the silence itself. You see the colors of nearby stars and nebulae stretching, spiraling, and screaming towards a single point of absolute nothing. You arrive at the edge, the event horizon. The silence here is the most active, the most violent, the most terrifying silence in all of creation. It is the color of absolute annihilation. It is a churning, vortex-like, sucking black. It is not a color you see, it is a color you feel pulling you apart. The silence of the stars was a radiant, outward pressure. This is an irresistible, inward pull. As you watch, a stray wisp of that beautiful, rose-pink nebular silence gets too close. You see it stretch, thin out into a single screaming pink thread, and then it is simply gone, snuffed out. The silence is not just quiet, it is a predator. It is the universe's delete key. And at the very center of the black hole, at the singularity, what color is the silence there? You cannot go there, no consciousness can. But you can imagine. Perhaps it is not black at all. Perhaps at the point of infinite density, all the colors of all the silences of everything that has ever fallen into it are compressed into a single, infinitesimal point of pure, incandescent, white-hot potential. The white-hot silence of the star, but inverted, concentrated, and turned inward. A surreal thought. What if a black hole's singularity is not an end, but a seed? A seed of pure, compressed silence which, under the right conditions, could burst forth in another dimension, another time, as a new Big Bang, creating a new universe from the silent ruins of the old one. The most destructive force in the universe might also be the most creative. The ultimate predator of silence might be the ultimate mother of it. You pull back from the terrifying edge of the black hole, back into the relatively safe, lonely, plumb black of the intergalactic void. You have witnessed the silence of creation in the stars and nebulae, and the silence of destruction in the black hole. You have felt the silent mystery of dark matter. You have seen the entire life cycle of the universe written in a palette of quiet that spans from blinding white to sucking black. Your cosmic journey is nearing its end. You let your awareness drift, letting the galaxies and nebulae become distant smudges of colored light again. You turn your attention to the smaller, more transient silences of the cosmos. You see a comet, a dirty snowball hurtling through the void. Its silence is a dusty, frosty gray-white, a silence of ancient ice and trapped rock. It leaves a faint, wispy trail of this silence behind it, a temporary brushstroke against the diamond black, quickly dissipating. It is the silence of a lonely wanderer, a traveler on a long elliptical journey with no real destination. You feel the faint, rhythmic pulse of a distant pulsar. It is not a sound. It is a pulse of incredibly focused radio wave silence. A beam of quiet, as sharp as a laser sweeping through the void. Its color is a sharp, clean, piercing electric white. A repeating, lighthouse-like flash of structured quiet in the chaotic darkness. It is the color of a cosmic metronome, keeping a steady, silent beat for a galaxy. You have now explored the silence of the room, the world, the mind, and the cosmos. You have seen that the same principles apply everywhere. Silence has color, texture, temperature, and history, whether it's in the corner of your bedroom or in the heart of a nebula. It is the hidden language of reality, the invisible paint that gives the universe its depth and meaning. And this leads you to the final, open-ended question of this cosmic drift. You have seen that silence has a vast and varied palette, but what about sound? If you could travel to a universe that was the perfect opposite of this one, a universe made not of silence, but of pure, unending sound, what would it be like? A universe where the vacuum of space was not silent diamond black, but a deafening white noise hiss? Where stars did not radiate silent fire but screamed with the sound of 1 billion nuclear furnaces? Where black holes were not silent vortices, but infinitely loud points of sonic annihilation, sucking all other sounds into them? In such a universe, what would be the rarest, most precious, most sought-after thing? It would be a moment of quiet, a tiny pocket of stillness, a single, beautiful, colored mote of pure silence. Would the beings in that universe go on long, spiritual journeys, not to explore the colors of silence, but to find a single, fleeting moment of it? Would they meditate for years, trying to find the clear black, silent void within themselves amidst the unending clamor? Is it possible that silence and sound are not opposites, but two sides of the same coin, each defining the other, each giving the other its preciousness, its meaning? You have reached the furthest point of your journey. You are floating in the great, silent, cosmic ocean, an infinitesimal point of consciousness that has somehow managed to witness it all. You are carrying with you the memory of all these colors, the domestic palette of your room, the terrestrial greens and blues of the earth, the psychological golds and grays of your own mind, and now the stellar whites and nebular pinks of the cosmos. You are saturated with the colors of quiet. You are a living library of silence, And now, with all this experience, with this vast new understanding, there is only one thing left to do. It's time to go home. It's time to return to the room where this all began and see it with new eyes, to answer the initial question one last time with the wisdom of a seasoned, silent traveler. You turn your awareness around and let the gentle, familiar gravity of your own small world begin to pull you back. The return journey is not a slow drift, but a gentle, purposeful collapse of scale. You are drawn back from the intergalactic void, a willing traveler on a current of homecoming. The plum-black silence of deep space warms and brightens, resolving back into the diamond black of your own galaxy. The silent, distant fires of stars and the soft, whispering hues of nebulae rush past you, not as destinations to explore, but as familiar landmarks on your way back. You see the silent, electric white pulse of the pulsar, a familiar lighthouse guiding you in. You cross the path of the lonely, gray-white silence of a comet, a fellow traveler heading somewhere else. The cosmos, once a vast and overwhelming frontier, now feels like a neighborhood whose colors you know by heart. You feel the gravitational pull of your own sun, a familiar warmth. Its roaring, white-hot silence welcomes you. You see the planets, each with its own silent signature. The stormy, banded, ochre and cream silence of Jupiter, the elegant, icy, pale gold silence of Saturn's rings, a quiet, stately music frozen in a crystalline orbit, and then you see it, home, the swirling marble of blue, white, and green silences. It grows larger, resolving from a cosmic object into a world. You plunge back into the atmosphere, and the hard, diamond-black silence of the vacuum is replaced by the soft, familiar, layered quiets of the earth. You do not retrace your path over the ocean and the forest and the city. Instead, you come in from above, directly over your own dwelling. You sink down through the roof, through the charcoal gray silence of the ceiling. Remember that? It feels so simple and comforting now. And you are back. You are in the room. The journey that spanned galaxies and the inner depths of your own soul has deposited you right back where you started, in the gentle, custom-made quiet of this single, familiar space. But everything is different. The room is the same, but you are not. Your perception has been stretched to its absolute limits and is now recoiled, bringing with it the echoes and colors of everything you have witnessed. The simple question from the beginning of the night returns, but now it has the weight of the cosmos behind it. If silence had a color, what would it be tonight? And you finally have the answer. It is not one color. Tonight, the silence is a rich, impossible, beautiful blend of every shade you have encountered. It is a masterpiece painted by you, for you. You look into the corners of the room, and you still see the foundational midnight blue silence. But now you can see the faint, shimmering diamond black of the cosmic vacuum mixed into it, giving it an incredible depth. A sense of infinite space contained within the finite corners of your room. It is not just the silence of a house settling. It is the silence of space-time itself, holding your small world together. You look at the charcoal gray silence floating near the ceiling. It is still the color of forgotten thoughts, but now you see it is threaded with the soft, ethereal rose pink and seafoam green of the nebulae you visited. Your forgotten thoughts are not just lost, they have joined the great cosmic creative whisper. You realize that your own small, personal mind is a nebula, a birthplace of potential, swirling with its own unique colors of quiet, a whimsical thought. What if the act of creative thinking is just a small-scale version of star formation? A slow gathering of silent, colored dust into a single bright point of inspiration? You glance at your bedside table, at the thin winter sky white silence resting on its surface. The silence of the immediate present. But it's not just a fragile, crystalline white anymore. It is infused with the brilliant, white-hot silence of a star. The now is not just a passive moment, it is a point of immense energy. A fusion of all past moments, radiating potential into the future. It is a tiny, personal sun, and its silence is the color of pure, focused, creative power. This present moment, this simple patch of quiet on a simple surface, contains all the silent fire of the cosmos. You sense the woolly brown silence of the closet, the quiet of hibernation. But woven into its familiar comforting texture are threads of the rich, loamy, umber silence of the forest floor. It is not just the silence of your clothes waiting. It is the silence of decay and rebirth, of the great, slow, patient cycle of life. Your old clothes are not just aging. They are part of a larger, organic process, their silences slowly turning back into the fertile soil of memory. And the book on your nightstand. You remember its parchment yellow silence, the quiet of a story waiting to be told. But now you see that this yellow is not flat. It is imbued with the sepia-gray silence of your own mind's archive and the honey-gold silence of your happiest memories. A book is not just a story written by someone else. It is a collaboration. The author provides the words, but you, the reader, provide the colored silences of your own life, your own memories, your own joys and sorrows, which you paint between the lines. Every story you read is a unique masterpiece co-created by you and the author, a blending of their world and the colored silences of your own. You turn your attention to the window. You remember the tension between the pale white silence inside and the star-dusted violet outside. Now, that boundary seems less like a wall and more like a beautiful, shimmering membrane. The violet silence of the night outside is no longer impersonal or cold. You now recognize it as a complex tapestry, woven from the distant, silent light of galaxies, the stretched, plum black of the void, the soft greens and blues of the sleeping earth, and the obsidian and amber of the nearby streets. And your own room's silence, a complex chord of blues, grays, and whites, is pushing against it, contributing its own unique, personal notes to the great, silent symphony of the world. The window is not a barrier, it is an instrument, and the color you see there is the resonance of your inner world harmonizing with the outer one. Let's re-examine that bizarre image, the shadows. You remember seeing them as creatures of pure quiet, detaching and floating through the room. Now, you see them differently again. You see the shadow of the chair, and it is no longer just a flat shape of midnight blue. It is a small contained piece of the intergalactic void. And you see that it is connected by an invisible, gravitational thread to the object that casts it. But here's the new thought. The final, surreal twist. It's not the chair that is casting the shadow, it's the other way around. The shadow, this little piece of profound, dark silence, is the anchor. It is a tiny, stable fragment of the cosmic void, and it is holding the chair in place, pinning it to reality. Every object in your room that casts a shadow is being held here now by its own personal, silent, dark anchor. The world is not made of matter that casts shadows. The world is made of shadows that have condescended to allow matter to grow from them. The silence is the cause, and the object is the effect. This realization brings a final, soft, philosophical prompt, the culmination of your entire journey. You have seen that the silence in your room is a reflection of the silence of the cosmos, and the silence of the cosmos is a reflection of the silence of your own mind. You have seen how they are all interconnected, woven from the same fundamental threads of colored quiet. The prompt is this: if the silence outside you and the silence inside you are made of the same essential substance, just expressed on different scales, then where do you end and the universe begin? Is there a line? Or are you a localized, complex, self-aware pattern in a universal field of colored silence? Are you not a person in a room in a world in a universe, but rather a conscious knot in the fabric of quiet, a place where the universe has folded in on itself to look back and perceive its own colors? You are not a visitor in the cosmos. You are the cosmos, experiencing itself as a visitor. With this thought, a profound sense of peace settles over you. The journey is complete. The exploration has led you back to a place of perfect, holistic understanding. The silence of tonight is a beautiful, intricate, living thing, and you are not just observing it, you are it. You are the midnight blue corners, the charcoal gray ceiling, the white-hot present moment, the nebular pink daydreams, the sea glass blue sorrows, the diamond black of the void, and the clear, potential-filled black at your own core. All of these colors are swirling together tonight, in this room, inside you. You focus on the air in front of your face, the air you are breathing. You remember seeing it as a pale, life-green silence. Now, you see it as a microcosm of everything. As you breathe in, you are inhaling the entire palette. You breathe in the silent fire of the stars, the cool greens of the forest, the deep blues of the ocean, the golden hues of your own best memories. And as you breathe out, you are exhaling your own unique contribution to the masterpiece, your own warmth, your own particular shade of being. The act of breathing is the act of weaving. You are constantly, rhythmically, weaving your personal silence into the fabric of the universal silence, and weaving the universe back into yourself. The final open-ended question of the night arises, whispered on your own breath. You found the color of silence tonight? But what about tomorrow night? Will the colors be the same? Or will the experiences of the coming day, its own unique joys, sorrows, frustrations, and wonders, add new pigments to your palette? Will tomorrow's silence have a streak of bright, laughter yellow you haven't seen before? Or a new, unfamiliar shade of contemplative, thoughtful gray? The masterpiece is never finished. Every day, every moment, you are gathering new colors, new silences, to be woven into the ever-changing portrait of your own quiet existence. The journey is never over. Tonight was just one exploration, one composition, and tomorrow you get to paint a whole new one. You let that final thought hang in the air, a shimmering, hopeful note. The purpose of this journey was not to find a single definitive answer. It was to learn how to ask the question. It was to open your eyes to the hidden world of color that exists in the quiet spaces. You have done that. You have become a connoisseur of quiet, an artist of stillness. The silence in your room is no longer an absence, it is a presence. It is your oldest, most intimate companion. It is the silent, colored tapestry of your entire being, stretched from the corners of this room to the furthest reaches of space and back again. And it is beautiful. And so, as our journey through the colors of quiet comes to a close, the frantic pace of thought begins to slow. The vibrant, swirling colors you've witnessed begin to soften, their edges blurring, bleeding into a single peaceful unified hue. The diamond black of space, the white hot of the stars, the deep green of the forest, and the golden light of your memories all gently merge, like watercolors on wet paper, creating a deep, soothing, warm indigo, the color of a perfect, dreamless twilight. The intricate architecture of silence you've explored, from the dusty archives of your mind to the silent, crystalline floor of the abyss, all dissolves back into the simple, comforting calm. The questions have been asked, the worlds have been explored, and now all that is left is the gentle, quiet hum of your own breathing, a soft, rhythmic brushstroke painting this deep indigo piece across the canvas of your awareness. There is no need to seek or to analyze any longer. There is only the feeling of being held, safe and sound, in the soft, dark, velvet silence of this night. A silence you now know is not empty, but is filled with all the light and color and wonder of the entire universe, all resting, all at peace, right here with you. Just allow yourself to float in this final simple color, this quiet of ultimate comfort, and let it carry you gently, effortlessly, into the deep and restful quiet that lies beyond.